Okay, so in this video, we have a factorial challenge, and we're being told that we cannot use a calculator on this problem. So whenever you're dealing with factorials and you're told you can't use a calculator, you can almost always solve the problem by factoring. Now, before we get into how to solve this problem here, we first have to talk about what a factorial even is. And if you take a look at this explanation point right here, and right here, those are factorials. And so it's really simple. All it's telling you to do, you start at the number in question. So like in this case here, it's 2016, and you multiply all the way down until you get to 1. And when you multiply down, you use the previous integer. So for example, you would start at 2016, then times 2015, times 2014, and you would do that all the way until you get to 1, okay? So you can see here that we are gonna have huge numbers here, right? And we're being told we can't use a calculator, so that's gonna be a hint right there. We're being told we can't use a calculator, but we're dealing with huge numbers. There must be an easier way to do the problem. So at this point here, I'm gonna have you go ahead and pause the video and see if you can think of a way in which you could do this problem without a calculator. See if you can figure out a step in which could make the problem a little bit easier, or how you could essentially manipulate this expression so that you could get the answer. So at this point in time, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can figure it out. But if you just want to know how to figure it out, we'll go over it right now. So if you look at your denominator right here, you can see that you have 2015 factorial and 2014 factorial. Now, they're almost the same. They're off by 1, right? So I have a 2015 here and a 2014 here, and it's 2 terms. So think about factoring here, pulling out a greatest common factor. Well, right now, I cannot pull out a greatest common factor. They don't have anything in common. But if you think critically about this, think about how you can manipulate your denominator there so that you could pull out a greatest common factor. And so what I could do here, I could take this 2015 factorial and I can rewrite it as 2015 times 2014 factorial. That is the same thing, right? I'm not changing anything. I'm just manipulating what I have there. And then plus 2014 factorial. So now you can see my 2 terms here and here, right? They have a 2014 factorial in common. So I can go ahead and factor out a 2014 factorial. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to factor out a 2014 factorial, and then I'll have in parentheses 2015, right, plus 1. And so if you distribute the 2014 factorial here and also here, you should get what we have here and here, and you do, okay? And so now think about it, 2015 plus 1, that's 2016. So now I can continue on with the problem. I can say 2014 factorial, right, times 2016. Okay, so that's my new denominator. And so now on my numerator, I have this 2016 factorial. What could I do there? Well, I'm going to go ahead and multiply it down. I'm going to go all the way down until I get to 2014, and I'll show you why. Right, so for example, I'm going to scroll down here, and we're going to go ahead and expand out that numerator. I'm going to say 2016 times 2015 times 2014, and now I'm going to stop here and I'm going to write it as a factorial. That is the same thing as 2016 factorial, but now think about it. This part right here is on your numerator, right? And then our denominator is going to be 2014 factorial times 2016. So why don't I go ahead and write that in? Our denominator is going to be 2014 factorial times 2016, and now look what happens. You're going to have factors that end up canceling out. So for example, I have a 2016 on my numerator. I also have it on my denominator. That cancels. Then I have a 2014 factorial on my numerator, a 2014 factorial on my denominator. Those will cancel. And look what I'm left with. I'm left with 2015. So that is going to be our final answer. So scrolling up, here is the answer to this problem. We are going to get 2015, and that is going to be it, right? So again, that is not very obvious. You definitely would have to think a little bit about that problem before actually being able to get the answer. But the key takeaway here, whenever you have a factorial problem and you're dealing with very, very big numbers like we are here, and you're being told you can't use a calculator, you can almost always factor. And by factoring, you're going to be able to essentially cancel out factors. And from there, you're going to be able to isolate your answer, right? So again, we got 2015 here, and that is it. So I hope that you learned something from the video. I hope that you gained something from it. If this video did in fact help you, if you could just go ahead and give it a thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, make sure you subscribe. That way you get more math videos in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.